Good evening. I'm Dr. Kathy Farah. I'm an integrative and holistic family physician, and I'm bringing you tonight another rendition of Wiser Medicine Conversations. And tonight, what I've chosen to do is bringing calm to chaos. So, this world continues to be pretty crazy, doesn't it? My friends in New Jersey with a foot of snow, on top of the pandemic. Yes, the vaccine is rolling out, and we have great hopes for that. And I thought it might be helpful to offer to you in this holiday season some more tools and tips and a conversation on bringing calm to chaos. And I'm really excited to introduce Mernice Oliver, who's an expert. Hi, Mernice.
Hi.
And Mernice is also known as Coach Mo, and she's going to tell us all about that. And she is an expert in actually dealing with lifelong anxiety. And her story is really an inspiring one of how she dealt with that. And now she's a coach, and Coach Mo. It took me a minute when I first met her to figure that out, Mernice Oliver. And she coaches other people, in particular in the insurance industry. So as we have our conversations and as we've become friends, Mernice, I found out about how you have been a really successful business owner in the insurance industry, and you mentioned to me how you had gotten awards and such, but you still didn't feel happy, still didn't feel fulfilled. So I thought the audience might be interested in hearing about your story and really the things that you've overcome and what brings you joy these days. So welcome.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Kathy. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to share, my story and my journey. Yes, as I share with you my lifelong journey of managing anxiety and stress and overwhelm and depression and those types of things. And as for those of you that are brand new and don't know who I am, good evening. My name is Mernice Oliver, but I'm affectionately known as Coach Mo, Queen Quiet Storm. I am the calm to your agency chaos. And so I run an organization, Mernice Oliver International. We're a professional development organization for women-owned insurance agencies. And so we help them launch, build, and grow and scale thriving insurance agencies. And so it's indeed my pleasure to come tonight and kind of share with you my journey. And so as I shared with Dr. Kathy earlier, I've really suffered with anxiety and stress, even as a young child. Probably in my earliest memories, I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and I couldn't verbalize it at that time. That was not something that was discussed or even something that was in common conversation, not in my family at least. And so it was not something that I could put a name to it. I just knew I suffered with chronic, stomach pains, and my mom and my grandmother would take me in and out of the doctor's office and trying to figure out, why my stomach was hurting. Or then my granny gave me a terminology, oh, she just has a nervous stomach. And so I ended up on, restrictive eating plans. I remember once I hate Jell-O, and it was the reason why, because I was force-fed Jell-O for months and months and months, and so I was rail thin as a little girl, and so just those types of things. And I remember, as I evolved and grew into, a student in elementary school and high school and on into college, I remember episodes of stress and severe anxiety. Again, not being able to really put a name to what I was experiencing, but definitely overwhelmed and having nervous hands shaking, and my pulse is racing and I'm sweating, and I can say my anxiety being at an all-time high. I think I shared with you last night I had taken an overload trying to graduate college, and I lost my hair. I lost some hair, here on the top. And my girlfriend said, did you cut this? And I was like, cut what? And she's like, you have a perfectly round, little place here that your hair is gone. And I thought, no, and I would tell her, I'm just nervous. Well, now I know it was not nervous, but actually I was experiencing high levels of anxiety. And it really wasn't until I became an adult, and yes, owned my own insurance agency, actually ran two agencies. And at this point, I'd always been what I would call a high achiever, right? I suffered from chronic high achiever. And so, because it was expected from my family, my grandparents, helped to raise me. And so their expectations were extremely high that, I performed and performed well in terms of grades in school, honor roll, making sure that I got, I always was well behaved, and, I knew the right things. I was just expected to always do the right thing. And so it becomes overwhelming because you never really are off, right? You're always on. And I carried that with me on into adulthood. And so, as an agency owner, I was expected to perform. I had a lot riding on it. I'd invested a lot of resources, retirement, and, my grandparents, they invested in my agency. And so I had a lot riding on being the best, if not, and among the best, if I were not the best. And so at one point, I was number 3 in the whole state of Georgia. And then this one particular incident that I remember very clearly that I carry with me, and really, I think what I call a Hezekiah moment. And what I mean by that, it's a hinged moment. It changed the direction of where I was going in my life. I had actually won the number 1 life insurance salesperson in my entire state. And I should have been excited. I should have been celebrating, because on the outside, everything looked great and wonderful and amazing. And I was miserable and dying on the inside. High levels of stress. Yes, anxiety, chronic insomnia. I was suffering from that. I would go days and not have slept. And you and I both know that's not healthy.
Yeah. And, I think about that, in my job, as a family doctor and integrative doctor, not only for adults, but I also see kids, kids and teens at Children's in Minneapolis. And your story, your youth story is just so familiar. Of children that have all this belly pain, and they have scopes up and down in every test. And then they come to the integrative medicine department, where we get to teach them things like breathing and teach them about the nervous system and those exact symptoms that you mentioned, your heart racing and your hands shaking and all of that, and how you carry that into adulthood. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I needed you, Dr. Kathy back. Yeah, I really did. Because again, I think the doctors were doing my doctor, his name was Dr. Lee, and he was the sweetest, most gentle doctor that I've ever met, because he would hold my hand and he would say, "What's going on, sweetheart? What is it? And tell me." And I couldn't tell him. I didn't know what to say other than where. The pain, let me say that, and I'm sure you've seen that too. It's not localized to one area. It would be here one day and then it go, to the other side another day, and it'd be someplace else. So it's not, I couldn't just pinpoint it and say, this is where it is. No, I couldn't. But again, it was because it was really a manifestation of what was going on in my life at that time. I was born to teenage parents, raised by my nuclear grandparents, kind of bounced around from house to house, not really having that stability that children, now I know, because now that I'm a parent, know really desires and craves and needs. I really didn't have that. I was loved, but I didn't have stability. And that's what I needed. And so as an adult, now I know that's what it was. And so it was all of that uncertainty of, are we going to be okay? Even as a child, I knew, and I was very intuitive, and I still am very intuitive. So I know when things are not right. And so I know when something's askew, something's wrong. And I felt that.
Yeah.
But even as I'm 4 or 5, 6 years old, of course, I can't control that. I don't have any control to do anything. So I internalized it.
Yeah.
And it manifested itself that way in the stomach pains, but it was really the anxiety. But, moving forward, when I won the award, and just so stressed out and so overwhelmed with, managing an office and managing a team and finances and all of the things that came along with it, my personal life in shambles, I knew I had to do something. I had to make a decision, because at that point, I was really considering, no longer being on this earth. That was a thought for me. Yeah, because it just came to be too heavy of a burden to carry. It was just, my joke is I hide very well under my Maybelline. And that's what I tell my clients now. I can see through your Maybelline because I wore the Maybelline. So I know what it is. I had the nice car, I had the nice home. Everything looked grand on the outside,
And
but
here
it was deteriorating.
number one insurance, agency in the state, and yet you felt that emptiness. So then what did you do? And by the way, hello to Larry, and then Christina's joining from, I did a workshop last night for a wonderful organization called the Camelot Community Care in Florida, which works with people in foster care. And so she's saying that last night she really appreciated the belly breathing that I taught them last night.
Awesome. Hi, Christine. Yeah. And so two of the best decisions I ever made, and I often say this to my clients, is I hired a therapist and I hired a coach. And that really changed my life. It did. Because I knew I was intelligent enough and I was in tune with my body enough to know that my thoughts were not rational thoughts. And I knew something was wrong. I knew because I was in this battle mentally with myself.
Yeah.
Because I had this one side that said, it's okay, you can let go. And the other side that was saying, no, this is not the way. You need to get some help. And I thank God I'm still here. 8 years later, 9 years later, I'm still here. Thank God for that. But at that moment, those were my options.
Yeah.
Get some help or not be here.
Right. And even that getting help, and perhaps maybe more so then, but even in today's world, getting help, seeing a psychologist or a counselor can oftentimes be source of shame, or I don't want to do that, or people are going to think I'm crazy or whatever. And when really, these are professionals that are there to listen to us. A lot of times people tell me, and I believe in therapy as well. It's certainly helped me over the years. Absolutely. When I was a single parent, blah, blah, blah. And people will say to me, yeah, no, I have good friends. And it's like, no, actually, it's really a great idea to do, as you said, hire somebody whose job it is to listen to me, and I don't have to worry about their feelings. So continue.
Yeah. And I agree with you. But in the African American community, there's tremendous shame around mental health. There's very, very difficult stigma around. We're told that we can talk to friends. We're told that we can pray it away. And so it shows up as a weakness and a very big source of shame. And for me, it was shame. It was. I didn't necessarily think it was a weakness, but certainly ashamed that I had allowed my life to deteriorate to where it was at this point. But not rethinking, this has been going on lifelong. I've had this anxiety. I've been riddled with it my entire life. So as an adult, it's just now really boiling to the surface that it is in a crisis moment for me.
Yeah.
And so that was where I was in terms of, who am I going to get help with and how do I get help? And I'm very grateful that I made the decision to see a therapist. And I'm still seeing a therapist today. And it's kind of like in your toolkit, So when you have a flat tire, you don't necessarily use your little donut all the time, but it's good that you have it in your toolkit. And it's the same concept as I think about in therapy. It's not something that I necessarily have to use and pull out all the time, but they've given me tools that I can use to take care of myself. But certainly I like having it in my trunk if I need it in a crisis.
Absolutely.
And so that's where I am with therapy. But I found that coaching and therapy kind of worked in tandem with one another, because my therapist was really helping me, to peel back the layers and Let's get, what's going on, what happened in the childhood, where are you now, and how did we get here? A
Mhm.
coach is saying, okay, let me help you get from where you are today to where you desire to be.
That's a great
So it's
comparison.
kind of like a relay race. They're going to hand off the baton.
Mhm.
The therapist is going to get me from whatever's going on from the childhood and, adolescence on into adulthood. And now the coach is going to help me get from where I am now to where I desire to be.
Mhm.
And that's what I do. The same thing with it's my mission. My mission right now is to help women who are suffering from what I call agency burnout and managing stress in the world and overwhelm in the insurance industry. And so, yes, I've become an expert, but it's because I've sat in their shoes. I often say that I walked in your shoes. I sat at your desk. I ate your breakfast. And so I know exactly what you're experiencing and I can recognize it quickly. Now, I'm not a therapist, but I don't hesitate to say if I see those cracks or I
Mhm.
see some of those common themes that I've experienced myself, I don't hesitate to say, I think you should maybe talk to someone.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. One of our listeners, Elena, says, I don't like it when people are referred to as strong or weak. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I
And
do.
the folks that I talk with, oftentimes I will hear, especially parents and grandparents telling children, perhaps, or teens, be strong, be strong. I hear that a lot. I've heard that a lot in some of my work with the Native American community, and with all due respect, where it's like, be strong, don't cry. And I don't know if that's how it is, how you were raised or not, but I
Mhm.
or felt that message of, don't show your.
Mhm. Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I was always told to be strong. I'm the oldest of three,
Mhm.
and it was a requirement to be strong. And yes, that's probably a common theme in my life was be strong. It's okay. Don't cry. Don't show weaknesses. Just be strong. You're strong. You can handle this. Do it. And I always, and my Dr. Tanya Lowe, I often say it to her, and I said, well, what if I don't want to be strong today? Now what? What if I don't want to be? What if today is just not the day that I want to be strong? So we kind of laugh about it. But yes, very much so in my background that I was required to be strong. I was required, as I said, to make the good grades. And so I was, and it wasn't, I think, an abusive pressure, but pressure nonetheless. It was pressure to be better, to run faster, to do more, to be bigger. And so I always felt, as I said earlier, that I was always on, and I'm on always.
Right.
So I didn't have that time to just rest and relax and really be a kid. I was always in charge. I was the oldest. So I had to watch out for my younger brother and sister and my cousins. And, I'm the oldest. So I was just expected to step up.
Yeah. It's interesting, like when you said, what if I don't feel strong today? I think especially in these times, we talked about, all the anxiety and pressure that people feel, and that's been like heightened, manifested so much more in this times of COVID and uncertainty and economic pressure and social pressures and all of that. And I think sometimes we perhaps there's an unrealistic expectation that we, see the good in everything. And, and I believe in gratitude and giving thanks, but you're right. Some days, you know what? I think some days it's okay that the appropriate response may be that, today is a day that I just need to feel sad, as long as we don't get stuck in it. Right.
Yeah. Well, that's why we need help like what you have, your stress to success. That's why it's so vital and so important, particularly today, right now in this whole holiday season. Everybody's not feeling holiday cheery. They're not.
So true.
Everyone's not feeling the joy of the season because of what we've experienced these past 8 months. It's been rough. It has
Indeed.
been really rough. And so, stress to success is just that one more tool that I believe we all need in our little tool belt. Back to my flat tire, my little donut
Right.
in my trunk. We need that in the time of a crisis. And this is right now, we're in a crisis. And that's why we need it. It is so very important and so vital and such a value in terms and the level of, I think, accessibility for clients that we need, because it isn't often that we have someone of your caliber to even understand our perspective and
Thank
to
you.
really hear us. And
Thank,
so I think that's why Stress to Success is so very important.
thank you. And Christina also said, well, actually, Elena says, I like the word resilient or dealing with my challenges. And Christina says, quotes, it's all in your head. You choose your own happiness. Some truths, but LOL, dismissive and invalidating. Yeah. Well, it isn't our
Wow.
all the time. However, we oftentimes forget, and I love to teach about the mind-body connection, and you lived that. You lived that as the child with belly pain and people not figuring it out, that it was, stress that manifests here. And it's not just our stomach belongs to the stomach doctor and our, rapid heartbeat belongs to the cardiologist. I mean, they do to a certain extent, but how does that all impact? And what can we do about it? That's the more important thing.
Yeah, and so now I think I'm at my healthiest because I have been able to add these things to my toolkit. Meditation is a must for me. Being outside in nature, and I was sharing too. It's winter, and so I'm in Georgia, and it gets dark at 4 o'clock. So I'm a little bit off, and I can feel it. I can tell now that my emotions are a little bit more dull. It's a little slower for me because I don't have a lot of sunlight. I like to say I'm light sensitive. I do need sun. And so I'm more energized and more bright in the spring and summer than I am fall and winter, just because of the shortened sunlight time for sunlight. And so I need that. But I had to learn, journaling and all of these tools that I'm sure the breathing techniques that you teach inside of the Stress to Success, that was unheard of, wasn't talked about, really wasn't even went back when I was experiencing it and I was the number one agent in the state of Georgia. That just wasn't, I knew about yoga. Had I ever done it? No.
Right, right. And so you eventually went from running these two insurance agencies to helping people within insurance agencies. You shifted to becoming a coach, Coach
I
Mo.
shifted. So, and as I said, it was bringing in that coach and really my therapist as well, pushing me to figure out where I was, because here was the key. I had wrapped my identity into the agencies and it became who I was. And my therapist helped me to see that's not who you are. It's what you do to make a living, to feed your family. That is not who you are, but it was to me here.
Yeah.
It was my identity. It was who I was. And so it took me some time to unpack all of that. But truly, it was my identity. And then my coach helping me to see this is just the vehicle, but we need to dig a little bit deeper. What do you enjoy so much about it? And I did have an opportunity as an agency owner to mentor other agents, new agents who came along behind me to teach them, proper processes, staff development, sales processes, business development, all of marketing, all of those things I taught. And then the light bulb went off. Aha, this is where, yeah, these are your gifts, talents, skills, and abilities. This is your superpower, right? And so that was when I began to understand I was developing those superpowers while I was the agency owner, but that was not necessarily where those gifts were going to be best used. Right. So I started my own consulting company in 2012. I was doing it part-time. I was still working in corporate America and doing it as a side hustle, so to speak, or a side gig, and helping agents after work and on the weekends and that type of thing. And now starting out, I started 2015 full-time in my own coaching and consulting firm, and working primarily, as I said, with women-owned insurance agencies. Now, that's not to say all of the women that I work with are suffering with stress and anxiety or agency burnout, but a vast majority of them are.
When we were talking about when you go into an agency, when it is possible to go into an agency, and how you could spot it in a minute when you saw fast food bags in the garbage. And, of course, we know what stress does to us in terms of our eating and our food choices. And so what are some of the other signs that you know because you recognize you walked in their shoes?
Yeah.
What are the other things that you
A lot
notice?
of the telltale signs are readily visible, but if you haven't experienced the stress and the anxiety at the levels that I have, you can walk in and dismiss it as a messy desk. When I walk in, it's not a messy desk for me. It's chaos. And I know exactly what that person is experiencing. And so I begin to look around, and it takes me no more than about 5 minutes to determine you're experiencing some anxiety, and you need to find someone to talk to. Yes, the fast food bags in the garbage can. I see that. Or if I see several pairs of shoes or clothing in the office, that tells me they're spending a lot of time in the office away from home. So just telltale signs of so many things that I see is leading to that stress and anxiety. My goal, though, my number one goal is to get there before it gets to a crisis level, is to help them get beyond it or manage it before it gets to a crisis level.
Great. Yeah, that's great to have you, someone that really understands. What I've been wondering about is, as much of what we do has gone virtual, it feels like there is less of a separation between the workplace and the home place and school place. So many of the people that I see are now working from home, and maybe the kids have been in school and now they all of a sudden, they're at home, and now they're being school teachers and still trying to do their job, and setting up the kids' desks next to them. Or maybe they are school teachers already and they're trying to teach their class while having kids, and then somebody gets COVID, and so on and so on. Are you seeing that kind of thing with your insurance agents as well?
I
Agencies?
am. It's at a different level because you have to understand the insurance world, it really is its own little entity. It's like its own little Neptune. It's just different. It really is. It's different.
Uh-huh.
And so a lot of the agency owners that I'm working with, they're still going into the office,
Okay.
which is a challenge within itself. That's number one. Those who have embraced the remote world, which is what I really teach, and I really try to impress upon them that it's inevitable. You're just fighting a losing battle right now. I know you're holding on to this storefront, but eventually we're all going to be at some sort of remote location or working remotely. And so the stressors that I see is, how am I going to manage my team remotely? How do I know that they're doing what I'm paying them to do? What if my sales drop off? What if I can't meet my goals? And so then they're pressured because they are bringing in staff, requiring them to come to the office. And now, oops, 2 people have been diagnosed with COVID because
Yeah.
now we're in an office.
Right.
So it's that type of stress that I am seeing out in the insurance world. And it's just difficult. Here's another part. They're not able to find quality candidates anymore who want to even come into the office. So that is a challenge in itself as well. Most people, because children are at home, and they have a fear of getting COVID. So they
Right.
don't want to come to the office. They don't want to come in and work.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's a challenge. So those are the type of stressors that I see, and that is what is creating that anxiety, the angst of, can I get this done? And the fear of, what if it doesn't happen for me? Or what if I don't meet my goals? And can I keep the doors open? Can I keep the lights on? So it's those types of things.
Right. I would imagine that, some of the agencies are closing, perhaps, like we're seeing other businesses, or maybe it's a more stable industry. I guess I don't really know.
Mm. They're not necessarily closing, but they're not as they're being a little more resistant to the virtual world,
Okay.
going and working from home, and that type of a thing. So you have to understand, these are small business owners,
Sure.
and so they're not getting big checks to
Hmm.
get bailed out. I'm being very frank, they're not. And so a lot of them are still working on their retirement, and they're still, what they make, they're investing back into their agencies. And so I understand the fear, and I understand being overwhelmed, and I understand burnout, because they're spending hours upon hours, just trying to make it through the month.
Right.
So it's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. So how about we take a little break and do a breathing exercise?
Sure, sure.
All
Let's
right.
try it. Mhm.
I'll teach the way. Well, I like to give a lot of credit to the Center for Mind Body Medicine. Dr. James Gordon became my teacher almost 20 years ago. And it's an organization in Washington, D.C. And there's lots of different meditations. But he's taken a lot of wisdom from around the world and really distilled it into a really usable type of model. So I'll just lead you in some relaxed breathing. And I like to tell people, including the kids, that when you talk about your heart racing and all of that, well, that's the sympathetic nervous system, that's the stress response, and there's so much that we can do to bring our bodies into the relaxation response, and really appreciating the breath is one of them. So I just invite you to, and anybody that's not driving, to just find themselves in a comfortable place. Perhaps you're sitting, and if so, feel your feet on the ground. It's always nice to feel the earth. And I always like to give gratitude for the earth and for whoever owned the earth way back long before I did. And just feeling your feet on the ground and then just noticing your breath. And if people want to let your eyes drift closed, that's fine. Or just maybe a soft gaze. We'll do this for a few minutes. It's always nice to do some belly breathing in the evening. Beautiful. And I invite you to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, making each exhale perhaps a little longer. And as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, imagine your belly muscles, the muscles of your stomach, they're actually getting a little softer. Continue to breathe in a way that feels comfortable for you, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And inviting the breath deep into your belly without forcing it, just let it come naturally. Beautiful. Continue breathing in this way, in through the nose and out through the mouth if that's comfortable. And you can imagine perhaps focusing on a word like this as you breathe in, and moment as you breathe out. Thoughts come, that's what thoughts do. You can let them come and let them go, and then perhaps return to the breathing. Maybe those words, this and moment. Those words just remind us to be grateful, to be present in this moment, and not worrying about the past or replaying the past or worrying about the future. And just settling into your breath. Beautiful. And when you breathe in this way and your breath is full, in and out, the nervous system, the vagus, the vagus nerve, actually sends messages to the brain, to the alarm center of the brain. It says, everything's okay right now in this moment. There's no emergency here. And there's a branch of that nerve that tells our shoulders to relax a little bit. There are even branches that make it easier for us to listen and to speak. Continue those slow, deep breaths as you breathe in and out. We'll do a few more together at your pace. Just enjoying this pause in the day. Go ahead and open your eyes. Stretch if you want.
Yeah, that was good. That was very good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, when you breathe in that way and you breathe us into the diaphragm and activate that nerve, it brings in that relaxation response. And, it's directly ties to that abdominal pain you had when you were a little kid, because it actually helps when you're stressed, the blood flows away from the intestines and from the and digestion is inhibited. And when you can relax and breathe, it actually improves. It's called the rest and digest. So it can help with sleep and help with digestion and belly pain. So I teach this breathing to kids, to families, to adults. I teach it in my course. It's sort of the mainstay of, and it's a type of meditation, but I also, sometimes people, I don't know if you've experienced this, but sometimes people have sort of a fear of meditation, I think. And I like to, recall that meditation is very much like the word medication. In a way, it can almost be like a medication. But some people worry that it's a different religion or something like that, and that's why oftentimes I'll just mention it as breathing, just breathing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, unfortunately, no, that has never been, something that was a concern for me.
Mhm.
I've always thought that it was, again, yeah, very much like medication, I guess. Not, but it's not pharmaceutical. It's something that I can do holistically to take care of myself. And again, I said it, stress to success is another part of my medicine to be able to take care of myself holistically. So I just think that this program is just amazing. And so for those of you that are out there and you're, considering, is this for you? Absolutely. It is. It's for everyone. We all need it, particularly now. We need it today. We don't need it, later or January. No, we need it today, December the 17th, because it's just one more step or one more little piece of that toolkit that you need to take care of yourself. And all of us, everyone, we're all important. I tell my clients, you're important and what you bring to the world is important. And so this is just a way of wrapping your arms around yourself and taking care of yourself and doing that through the Stress to Success course.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So yes, I am doing a course. The welcome is on Saturday, but if you can't make Saturday when you sign up, you can also just start to join in. It'll be recorded. And so it's interesting, as I named it Stress to Success, the idea is not that it has to be like success #1 in Georgia or anything like that. It's really having success over helping to manage your stress and manage and just accept that, yes, we can't necessarily change that we're in the middle of a pandemic, but we can change what we do about it, right? We can't change if we've lost loved ones. And just, think of,
Right.
how many people
Mhm.
have died and are dying. We can't change job loss necessarily. But what we do have some control of over us is what's inside this skin, right? And what can we learn? And how can we honor, like you mentioned, the wiser way to me is basically honoring the wisdom that I have to share, but also the wisdom that we have inside of us. And you talked about that you always knew inside that you could tell.
Mhm.
I could, you didn't, I don't know that you used the word intuition, but I think that's what it is. That you always knew that you had another purpose. So you always knew. And
Yeah. No,
that,
it is. That's my intuition. I've always been intuitive.
yes.
Yeah.
Hmm. And
Yeah, absolutely. And I know I shared that I knew probably from day one. I knew I was out of place. I was misfitted where I was, even
mhm.
though I performed very well and I had great success. But it was just something deep down. I knew that it's just not the right fit. As little kids, when you have Legos
Yes,
and you try to kind of force it to fit, and
correct.
it may fit, but it's not a perfect fit. And
Yeah.
that was what I was experiencing. Yeah.
Mhm. Mm. And what brings you the most joy in what you do now?
The It's knowing that watching the light bulb go off for my clients and
Mm.
understanding that you can't build a solid professional life without building a successful personal life, and how the two have to be in tandem together. Because oftentimes that's not what normal business gurus tell us. They don't. They tell us, take care of your business, do what you need to do, pay attention, do all these things, work hard, hustle, 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 which I don't believe in hustle mentality at all. And I don't like that word. I don't like grind and hustle and all of that. No, because when you do that, then you fail to take care of yourself on a personal level.
Right.
And your business is not going to be successful when your personal life is in shambles. And so it brings me joy to be able to help women see that and learn that, I'm a self-care advocate. I say that all the time. That's who I am. I need to get a little pin, a little badge and say that, self-care advocate. And so one of the first questions I ask with my clients is, what do you enjoy? What do you do to help yourself feel joy every day? What is that?
Yes.
And they'll, what? Did you really say joy? Am I supposed to be experiencing joy? Yes. Life was created to feel happiness, peace, and joy. Work just facilitates that for us. It helps us.
Beautiful.
But we're supposed to feel like happiness, peace, and joy every day. Yes, we are.
Yeah, and balance.
So that's what brings me the greatest joy, is helping women, other women, to realize.
It's great. And I can just envision them, the aha for them as you identify or just notice what they're going through, and that you understand and that you listen to them. I think there's no greater joy really than being listened to, heard, and understood, right? For any of us. Great. Awesome. So yes, Stress to Success. So I'm doing, it's a 6-week course.
Absolutely.
It's on Saturdays. And here's the website, wisermedicine.com. And each week that I'm going to highlight, what I really like to do is teach a little bit about the biology of stress, because it takes it away from I'm not strong or I'm not resilient. It takes it away from that. And I love teaching about things like epigenetics and giving people tools. I really see this course as a Christmas gift people can give themselves, as a way to go into 2021. So we have one session on Saturday. If you can't make it, you can catch up. And then it'll be starting in January. I'm a little concerned that people think, okay, pretty soon 2020 is going to be done, and then magically everything's going to be better in 2021. We're still going to have a pandemic. And I think we need to make plans with how we're going to do, as you said, self-care. And self-care is not selfish. Self-care is essential, because not only can you not be a good employee if you don't have balance, you can't be a good mother or father or child or spouse, for heaven's sakes. And we certainly know that when we're in the stress that well, at least I know that I'm definitely more short-fused these days. And that those days that I can get up and pray and meditate and maybe do some yoga, oh my goodness, what a blessing that is. So I really look forward to sharing this, Stress to Success.
Yes.
And so again, folks can get a hold of me with wisermedicine.com. If they want to hear more from Coach Mo, I have it here. This is MerniceOliver.com, particularly if you're in the insurance agency and really want to hear what she has to offer. And lastly, I have a little gift for the audience. If you'd like, I have a sleep meditation. It's audio, it's not video, because we have enough electronics and we know that the lights even of this screen can sometimes keep us awake, but it's an audio sleep meditation. So if you text the word sleep to 55444, sleep to 55444, you can get my audio sleep meditation. So I am going to be closing here in just a little bit, but Coach Mo, what other advice do you have for the audience?
Advice? Well, I think the biggest thing is to make yourself a priority. I know the world doesn't teach us that. They teach us that it's selfish to do that, but it isn't. I agree with you. Self-care is essential. And so, because you can't be your best and highest self if you're sick. And I don't mean physically sick in your body. I mean physically sick in your spirit, physically sick mentally. And so you are important. Again, I can't say that enough. And what you bring to the world is important as well. And so the best advice I can say tonight is we all need to be in this course starting Saturday, Stress to Success. Definitely give yourself that Christmas gift, but at the very least, take some time and pause and rest, reset yourself, pour into yourself positivity as much as you possibly can, and really try to enjoy the moment. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Be present in the moment.
Indeed. Indeed. I also wanted to mention, I sort of forgot about this because we got talking about, but when you, and by the way, the relaxation breathing that I did, that's a fantastic. If you take nothing else and just practice that every day, it will change how your body feels, and it can change your life. I hear that all the time, whether I'm teaching kids or last week I was part of the Center for Mind Body Medicine's course with veterans in the VA system in Florida. And so we're teaching people who are coaches, as a matter of fact, using this model in the veteran system. So we're dealing with folks that are combat veterans and not sleeping, and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, I just can't believe it." And to be able to learn skills that change your physiology gives you such agency. Here we go with that word, agency. And when your body is in balance, when you're in that rest and digest, it also activates the immune system. All right. What greater time to have our immune system activated than in the midst of a COVID
Mm-hmm.
pandemic? So it's another it's just essential that we learn to manage our stress. So I thought maybe I'd even do another meditation.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Great. So let's go ahead and if you all want to join me, this is great. So let's start with breathing once again. And the more that you practice breathing, and again, the yogis say 20 minutes twice a day or even more than that, even a few minutes is absolutely can be helpful. I tell people while everyone's collecting on the Zoom screen, you can sit there and you can do belly breathing and nobody knows it. So just go ahead and do some belly breathing, eyes closed if you wish, or just look downward. Breathing into your belly and letting your belly be soft. And I invite you to bring to mind, perhaps even bring into your heart if you wish, someone or something that brings you joy, that brings you peace. Or it could be someone that you're grateful for. Just imagine that person as you breathe in and out. Perhaps you even imagine sending love to that person. Perhaps giving gratitude for what they may have done. And breathing that feeling in and out. And if you wish to extend it to another person or friends or family, whatever you want to do, just notice that within you, almost as if you could radiate that feeling, because we really can. 360 degrees around us. And then you can let that image go and return to your breathing. And another breath in and out. Hmm. Gradually open your eyes. Thank you so much, Coach Mo. So, Coach Mo, I appreciate so much you being here.
Thank you.
And those of you that have found this to be helpful, I would love to see you in my course, Stress to Success, The Wiser Way. It's at wisermedicine.com. Again, you can also get my sleep audio as well. So blessings to everyone, and look forward to continued sharing. Stay tuned for more in 2021. So thank you all.
Yes. Very good. Good night. Good night.